The mental intensity of June Geminis doesn't just stop at their preference for intellect. Their minds are like high-powered engines, running at full speed, which can create an ongoing pressure cooker effect. This fast-paced mental energy can sometimes lead to anxiety or mood swings, especially when they feel overwhelmed by too many simultaneous thoughts or conflicting emotions. Their internal world is constantly buzzing, and the challenge is to find ways to slow down enough to rest. One way June Geminis cope is through movement and stimulation, both physical and intellectual. They might dive into books, conversations, creative projects, or social events as a way to channel restless energy. Yet paradoxically, if they don't find the right outlet, that energy can backfire, leading to irritability or withdrawal. It's something a friend of mine who's a June Gemini described as "my brain won't turn off." That feeling of a mind racing without pause can be exhausting and isolating. To support this type of mental whirlwind, self-care routines that promote calm and grounding are crucial. Techniques like deep breathing exercises, yoga, or even simple mindful walks can help slow down the relentless mental chatter. Also, setting boundaries around work and social obligations prevents burnout. For those close to June Geminis, encouraging these healthy habits rather than pushing them to just relax can make a real difference. It's about recognizing that their need for stimulation comes with a counterpart need for restoration. Restlessness is more than just a mental state for June Geminis, it's a defining feature of their personality. They crave constant stimulation and variety, whether through social interaction, intellectual challenge, or new experiences. Without this, boredom sets in quickly, and with boredom often comes a shift in mood that can feel unpredictable or even harsh to outsiders. Imagine a June Gemini stuck in a monotonous routine, day after day. Their natural curiosity and energy become trapped, leading to frustration. I knew someone who was a June Gemini working in a job that lacked mental challenge. Over time, she grew increasingly withdrawn and irritable, not because she disliked her colleagues but because her brain wasn't being fed the stimulation it craved. This kind of restlessness is not about being flighty or unreliable, it's an essential part of their wiring. For anyone sharing life with a June Gemini, the key is to honor their need for novelty and change. This might mean being open to spontaneous plans, introducing new hobbies, or simply encouraging open conversations about what excites them. It's a form of emotional nourishment. When their mind is engaged, their mood stabilizes and their best qualities shine: wit, charm, and infectious enthusiasm. This mental agility also means June Geminis are masters of conversation, and sometimes verbal sparring. Their quick wit and sharp intellect make them exciting companions but can also lead to misunderstandings. Their style of communication is often fast-paced and direct, which some people might perceive as confrontational or even harsh. A story comes to mind about a dinner party where a June Gemini friend kept challenging everyone's opinions with rapid-fire questions and counterpoints. Some guests felt energized, while others felt attacked. The truth is, for June Geminis, debate isn't about winning or hurting feelings, it's their way of connecting and exploring ideas. But because their words come out so fast and sharply, they can unintentionally ruffle feathers. If you're interacting with a June Gemini, one way to ease potential tension is to appreciate their intent behind the words. Their communication style is about mental engagement, not personal criticism. At the same time, helping them slow down and check in with the emotional impact of their words can deepen mutual understanding. Encouraging moments of vulnerability and softer dialogue balances their intellectual fire with emotional warmth. Behind all this intensity, there's a fascinating emotional paradox. June Geminis often mask deep feelings with humor and charm. It's as if they're saying, "Here's the fun, sparkling version of me," while their true emotional waves churn underneath, mostly hidden. This emotional roller coaster can be exhausting for them and confusing for those around them. I once talked to a June Gemini who described how she'd often laugh at jokes and seem carefree but privately struggled with bouts of anxiety and self-doubt. That contrast can be bewildering to others but makes perfect sense once you realize how much energy they put into managing their emotional landscape. For anyone watching who feels that push and pull inside themselves, it can be helpful to find creative outlets, art, writing, music, that allow emotions to flow without the need for immediate explanation. For those supporting a June Gemini, remembering that their brightness often hides vulnerability can foster compassion and patience. As we explore these layers, it becomes clear that living with or being a June Gemini is about balancing extremes: intellect and emotion, restlessness and calm, openness and guardedness. This dynamic creates a rich, vibrant personality that not everyone is ready to understand, but for those who do, the connection is deeply rewarding. If you're curious about how this emotional and mental complexity plays out in relationships, and how to nurture harmony with a June Gemini, stay tuned for the next part of this journey. We're just beginning to unlock the full picture of what makes June Geminis so uniquely challenging and beautifully brilliant. June Geminis carry a unique complexity in how they manage trust and loyalty. Despite their friendly and outgoing nature, they're incredibly selective when it comes to who they let into their inner circle. This is not about playing hard to get, but about protecting themselves from emotional overwhelm and past disappointments. Many people mistake this selective trust as coldness or indifference. But for June Geminis, it's a way to maintain emotional balance and safety. Imagine a June Gemini friend who seems to effortlessly connect with everyone at a social event, laughing and sharing ideas. Yet, when it comes to real vulnerability or asking for help, they might withdraw or keep you at arm's length. That selective openness is their way of guarding their emotional energy. Someone I know, a June Gemini, shared how it took years before she felt comfortable letting a close friend see the real struggles behind her sparkling facade. Once that trust was earned, the friendship grew deeper, but it was a slow process, built on respect and consistency. For anyone interacting with a June Gemini, it's essential to recognize that loyalty from them is precious and hard-earned. They may not share their deepest feelings quickly, but once they do, they are fiercely loyal and protective. Encouraging steady, non-judgmental support rather than rushing them to open up helps create the safe space they need. Trust isn't given lightly, but it's lasting when it's there. Communication is the heart of Gemini energy, and for June Geminis, it can be both a gift and a challenge. Their style tends to be direct and intellectually driven, which means conversations with them are often lively, fast-paced, and sometimes blunt. This honest and sometimes razor-sharp communication style can be misread by others as insensitive or even harsh, especially when emotions run high. Take the story of a June Gemini I once worked with who was known for her straight talk. She could cut through nonsense and get to the core of an issue quickly. While many admired this clarity, some colleagues felt she was too sharp, especially during stressful moments. She explained that she never intended to hurt anyone. For her, clarity and truth were forms of respect. Learning to temper that directness with emotional awareness became a growth area for her. If you know a June Gemini who speaks this way, it helps to remember that their intent is usually to be efficient and clear, not unkind. At the same time, gently encouraging them to pause and consider how their words land emotionally can deepen connections. One of the most beautiful traits of June Geminis is their innate charm and wit, which often lights up every room they enter. Their intelligence and humor make them engaging and magnetic, drawing people toward them effortlessly. This natural charisma isn't just about being popular. It's a reflection of their bright, agile minds and their desire to connect through shared ideas and laughter. Yet behind this charm is a person who is constantly juggling their internal contradictions. They want to be liked and understood but fear vulnerability. This creates a dynamic where their social brilliance can mask inner struggles, leaving others dazzled but unaware of the emotional work happening underneath. I remember attending a gathering where a June Gemini friend was the center of attention, effortlessly making everyone laugh. Later that night, she confided how exhausting it was to maintain that energy while feeling emotionally drained. For anyone close to a June Gemini, Recognizing the effort behind their sparkle and offering space for quiet moments of rest is invaluable. Relationships with June Geminis can be thrilling and challenging all at once. Their need for intellectual engagement and variety means they seek partners who can keep up mentally and emotionally. Routine and predictability aren't their friends, they crave spontaneity, deep conversations, and mental stimulation to feel truly connected. A couple I know, where one partner is a June Gemini, found that keeping their relationship fresh was a continuous adventure. They regularly tried new activities, engaged in debates, and explored creative projects together. This dynamic kept their bond exciting but required both partners to be flexible and open-minded. For those involved with a June Gemini, patience and adaptability are essential, as is a willingness to embrace change rather than resist it. Finally, June Geminis often thrive in careers and environments that challenge their minds and allow freedom of expression. They excel in fast-paced, creative fields where their ability to multitask and think quickly is an asset. However, when stuck in repetitive or overly structured roles, their restlessness grows, which can impact their emotional well-being. Consider the story of a June Gemini artist who found her peace not in a traditional 9-to-5 job but in a freelance career that allowed her to explore multiple projects simultaneously. This freedom kept her inspired and mentally energized. If you're a June Gemini or no one, supporting this need for mental agility and variety can be life-changing. Encouraging exploration and honoring their need for change helps maintain their passion and peace of mind. As you reflect on these layers of the June Gemini personality, you begin to see why not everyone can handle their complexity, and why that's perfectly okay. Their brilliance and intensity demand understanding, patience, and respect. If you're ready to embrace these truths, you open yourself to deeper connections and a richer experience of life with these fascinating souls. June Geminis thrive in environments that allow their restless, agile minds to flourish. They're not built for monotony or rigid routines. Instead, they shine brightest in fast-paced, creative, and ever-changing settings where their ability to think on their feet and juggle multiple ideas is not just useful but essential. Their intellect is like a wildfire, quick to spark and eager to spread, so they often gravitate toward careers and hobbies that challenge their mental agility and satisfy their curiosity. I remember a June Gemini friend who once struggled in a traditional corporate role. The 9-to-5 grind, the endless repetition, and the strict structure felt like a cage. She was brilliant, full of ideas and energy, but her spirit dimmed in the rigidity. Then she transitioned into a freelance creative career where every project was different and her mind was free to explore. The change was transformative. Her mood lifted, her creativity soared, and even her relationships improved because she wasn't weighed down by frustration and boredom. This speaks to a crucial piece of advice for anyone who is a June Gemini or who supports one. Honoring their need for variety and freedom is vital. Encourage them to pursue work or hobbies that keep their brain engaged and their spirit stimulated. Recognize that when they feel mentally trapped, it can quickly lead to restlessness, moodiness, and a feeling of being misunderstood. Providing opportunities for exploration and novelty isn't a luxury for them, it's a lifeline. That said, the brilliance and complexity of June Geminis don't make it easy for everyone to keep up. Their intensity, rapid thoughts, and emotional layers create a whirlwind that not everyone can navigate. And that's perfectly okay. Life isn't about forcing connections or pretending everyone must understand every nuance. For June Geminis, the goal is to find those rare people who resonate with their energy and appreciate their multifaceted nature. Relationships with June Geminis are often a wild, rewarding ride. They demand partners and friends who can match their mental energy, respect their need for independence, and embrace the unpredictable rhythms of their emotions. Routine and predictability aren't enough, they crave stimulation, growth, and deep connection through shared ideas and experiences. If you're in a relationship with a June Gemini, patience and open-mindedness are your greatest allies. Celebrate their curiosity, join them in new adventures, and be willing to navigate the occasional mood shifts with grace. When you create a space where they feel safe to show vulnerability without judgment, the bond deepens in ways that are truly magical. I've seen couples flourish when they learn to dance with the Gemini's energy rather than trying to control or contain it. So what's the final truth about June Geminis? They are not easy to handle, and they don't want to be. Their complexity is their power. Their restless minds and emotional depths make them endlessly fascinating and profoundly challenging. But those who take the time to understand and appreciate them find themselves enriched beyond measure. They discover a companion who brings excitement, intellect, humor, and a unique perspective that can transform how they see the world. Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to Zen Mind Peaceful Life, the space where ancient wisdom meets modern self-growth to help you live a more peaceful, authentic life. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating, and yes, sometimes frustrating, signs of the zodiac, the June Geminis. If you think you know Gemini, think again. June Geminis are like living puzzles, with layers of complexity that can confuse even the closest friends and lovers. They're brilliant, witty, and magnetic, but not everyone can handle their intense energy and rapid-fire thoughts. Why? Because behind their sparkling charm lies a whirlwind of emotions, anxiety, and restlessness that most people don't see. In this video, we'll uncover the harsh truths about June Geminis, how their quick minds can both inspire and exhaust, why they sometimes seem emotionally distant, and what makes their relationships a wild, unpredictable ride. Whether you're a Gemini yourself or someone who's ever loved one, understanding these hidden depths can transform how you connect with yourself and others. So before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more insightful astrology and mindful self-discovery. Ready to unravel the mystery of June Geminis? Let's get started. You know, when people think about Geminis, they often imagine someone bubbly, chatty, and endlessly fun to be around, like that friend who can light up any room with their stories and endless curiosity. But June Geminis? They're a whole different level of complexity. It's almost like they live two lives at once, carrying a kind of dual energy that can be both magnetic and, at times, overwhelming. This dual nature is the essence of Gemini, symbolized by the twins, but with June Geminis, this split is more intense, more layered, more deeply woven into who they are. Their ruling planet, Mercury, plays a huge role in this. Mercury governs communication and the mind, so June Geminis are naturally gifted with quick thinking and a knack for expressing themselves. But this rapid mental energy isn't always a blessing. It's like having a supercharged brain that's constantly shifting gears, jumping from one idea to the next before you've even fully grasped the last. This can make them fascinating conversationalists, sure, but it also means their minds can feel like a whirlwind that never stops. I remember meeting a June Gemini friend who could keep a group laughing and engaged for hours but privately admitted to feeling mentally exhausted by their own thoughts. That restless energy often drives their need to keep moving, keep learning, keep exploring, anything to quiet that internal buzz for even a moment. What's really intriguing about June Geminis is how different they can be from May Geminis. Even though they share the same zodiac sign, June Geminis tend to be more emotionally intense. While their May counterparts might come across as lighter and more playful, June Geminis often carry a depth of feeling that they don't easily reveal. This makes them seem mysterious and sometimes harder to read. They're like an ocean that appears calm on the surface but has powerful currents underneath. That emotional complexity can confuse the people around them, especially because June Geminis themselves may struggle to understand their own feelings fully. It's not unusual for them to intellectualize emotions, turning to logic rather than diving straight into vulnerability. There's a fascinating psychological dynamic here. Many June Geminis use their intellect almost as armor. When emotions get too overwhelming, they retreat into their thoughts, analyzing and reasoning instead of expressing. This coping mechanism helps them feel in control but can also create a sense of distance in relationships. You might notice how they can be the life of the party, cracking jokes and sharing fascinating ideas, yet seem guarded or aloof when conversations turn personal. I once had a close friend who was a June Gemini. And no matter how much we laughed together, there was always a part of her I felt I couldn't quite reach. It wasn't because she didn't trust me, it was just her way of protecting her most vulnerable self. This tendency to hide behind intellect and charm can sometimes make June Geminis appear emotionally detached, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Inside, they often experience a roller coaster of feelings, anxiety, excitement, frustration, joy, all swirling in rapid succession. Their fast-moving minds can make it difficult to stay grounded, leading to mood swings that confuse both themselves and those close to them. It's like their emotions don't have time to settle before the next wave hits, which can leave them feeling internally chaotic even when they seem perfectly composed on the outside. For anyone in a relationship or friendship with a June Gemini, it's important to understand this inner turbulence. Patience is key because pushing them to open up before they're ready can backfire. Instead, creating a safe, non-judgmental space where they can gradually share their feelings makes all the difference. Sometimes, simply listening without offering solutions or judgments allows them to process at their own pace. I've seen this approach work wonders. A June Gemini friend who once seemed unreachable gradually blossomed when her partner stopped rushing her and instead became a steady, calm presence. Another aspect that often surprises people is the Gemini's craving for mental and social stimulation. June Geminis get bored easily, really easily. Their brains crave novelty, new experiences, fresh ideas, and engaging conversations. If they feel stuck in a dull routine or emotionally stagnant relationship, their mood can shift dramatically. This isn't about being flaky or disloyal. It's a fundamental part of their nature. Their restless energy demands movement and change. A story comes to mind about a June Gemini colleague who thrived in her creative marketing job because every day brought a new challenge. But when the company shifted to a repetitive project, she became visibly restless and withdrawn. Her moodiness wasn't a personal attack on anyone, it was simply her mind begging for stimulation. For those close to June Geminis, it's helpful to introduce variety, whether that's trying new activities together, encouraging spontaneous adventures, or engaging them in meaningful, thought-provoking discussions. Keeping their minds active is like watering a plant. Without it, they start to wilt emotionally. What's fascinating, though, is how all these intense traits come with an incredible gift: the ability to connect deeply through words and ideas. June Geminis are masters of verbal sparring, able to challenge and inspire those around them with their quick wit and sharp intellect. But this strength can sometimes feel like a double-edged sword. Their directness can come off as harsh or overly critical, especially to sensitive people who might take their rapid-fire debates personally. I remember a time when a June Gemini friend and I got into a heated discussion about life choices. Her words were so blunt that I walked away feeling hurt, even though I knew she didn't mean to offend. Later, she explained that for her, conversation was a way to explore ideas, not to attack. Understanding this helped me appreciate the intention behind her style. It's a form of connection, a way of inviting you into her energetic world. For viewers dealing with June Geminis, try to see past the surface intensity and recognize that their sharp words often come from a place of curiosity, not cruelty. Still, the emotional intensity and rapid mental shifts can create challenges not just for June Geminis themselves but for everyone around them. Their quick-changing moods and need for constant stimulation can make relationships feel like a wild ride, full of ups and downs. But here's the secret: when you learn to navigate these waters with empathy and openness, the connection becomes incredibly rewarding. June Geminis bring vibrant energy, endless creativity, and a unique perspective that few other signs can match. So, if you're watching this and find yourself wondering how to get along better with a June Gemini in your life, or if you're a Gemini trying to understand yourself more, stick with me because the journey gets even deeper. We're just getting started unpacking the layers beneath that sparkling surface. One of the most intriguing, and often misunderstood, aspects of June Geminis is how they manage the emotional storm brewing beneath their seemingly carefree exterior. While many see Geminis as endlessly social butterflies, June Geminis add an unexpected layer of privacy and selectivity to their social lives. They aren't the type to open their hearts to just anyone, even though they can appear effortlessly charming and approachable. This careful curation of their inner circle is a survival strategy in many ways. Think of a June Gemini you might know. Outwardly, they're lively, cracking jokes and mingling with ease. But if you try to get closer, you might find a kind of wall, a hesitance to reveal what's really going on inside. They can be fiercely protective of their emotional world. This isn't about being secretive just for the sake of it. It's more like a self-preservation tactic rooted in past experiences. Fear of being misunderstood, or even hurt. Their minds are constantly processing multiple layers of feelings and thoughts, and sharing all that raw intensity too soon could feel overwhelming or risky. A close friend of mine, a June Gemini, once shared how she had to learn to be selective about who she trusted after a few painful betrayals. It wasn't easy because her natural inclination was to engage with everyone. But she realized that protecting her energy was essential to maintaining her peace. This kind of emotional boundary setting is vital advice for anyone involved with a June Gemini. Respect their pace. Don't push for instant intimacy, and understand that trust is a gift they give sparingly and with great care. This tendency to hold back also links to how June Geminis interact with their own emotions. They often prefer intellect over emotion, which can sometimes give the impression they're distant or detached. Their sharp minds offer a refuge from feelings that might otherwise feel too intense or confusing. It's a bit like having a mental control room where they try to analyze everything, breaking down problems into manageable pieces, searching for logic in chaos. But this intellectual shield can create challenges, especially in personal relationships. When emotions are constantly filtered through reason, the raw, vulnerable parts of themselves can remain hidden, not just from others, but even from themselves. This means June Geminis sometimes struggle to connect with their deeper feelings, leading to inner tension. I remember a story about a Gemini colleague who, despite being charismatic and sociable, often felt a sense of loneliness because she hadn't fully allowed herself to be emotionally seen. For those watching who are June Geminis, it's worth considering how embracing emotional awareness might open doors to greater inner peace. Practices like mindful journaling or therapy can help bridge the gap between intellect and feeling, providing a safe space to explore what's really beneath the surface. And if you know a Gemini, gently encouraging them toward this kind of emotional exploration, without judgment or pressure, can build profound trust and connection.